there's a level of quality you have to hit in storytelling and content. But after that, it's like, you got to put it out there. The personality I think that's hard for, though, are people who are kind of artists at heart. The artists I've known, I'm not an artist, but like any visual media, music artist, there's just a perfectionistic trait that nothing is ever good enough. That's the thing about content. You got to just do it, put it out there, and get on to the next one, you know?
All right, we're live. Hey, everybody, what's up? Welcome to Go Live with me, your host, Joshua Scott. Guys, I'm super excited today because I've got Ryan Isaac with Dentist Advisors on the show today. Ryan, what's up, man?
Yes. Thanks, man. Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, I've been looking forward to this. I know I was on your show a couple months ago, maybe late summer, and had just a great time chatting with you. So wanted to, have you on my show, because honestly, we ended that and I was like, there was like 4 things I wanted to keep talking about. So I'm like, let's just kick this over to my.
Let's just keep it going. I think I was just going to say the episode, it was episode 299 on our podcast called The Dentist Money Show, 299.
Dude, 300 episodes is like legit, man. So congrats.
Yeah, thank you. No, thanks, man. It's been a fun thing.
Yeah.
Probably the most fun thing. Well, that would be mean to say the most fun thing, because I love my clients. I like talking to them, which is true. But as far as like a business growth thing, that's the most fun thing I've done in my career for sure.
That's cool.
It's just cool. Fun to talk.
It is. I'm on. This is actually episode 36 of the.
Oh, cool.
Not nearly what you've done, but honestly, I started this post-COVID, and it was because it was like there was so much going on, and I was kind of like, hey, let me just get Keith on and like let's just talk our way through this.
There's so much.
So I did one of these every single day for I think a month straight, and then because partly my wife was helping organize all that, she's like, you just need to keep doing it.
Yeah.
I think the 30 days I was like, I'm done. Like that's a lot.
Content, I mean, better than anybody. Content, I mean, it's crucial, it's everything, but it takes it out of you, man. I mean, it's like, there's like yesterday I recorded several podcasts and like a guest and one with Matt, a co-host, and like at the end of that, you're kind of just tired, man. Just because you put a lot of yourself into it and your emotion goes into it, and it's tiring. But I don't know, that's kind of like it shouldn't be a complaint in the real world. It's not really tiring. It's not really that hard, but
I'm actually an introvert, so for these things, like it's like this,
that is tiring for you,
right? Like it's sucking energy because I'm bringing energy to it, but so I have to have my time where I'm like, okay, I gotta go.
Got it. Got it.
But
no, that makes sense, man. I'm the total opposite. And so like my days are a million times better if I just get to like blab in front of people for a living. Like it like totally feeds me. So
that's awesome. Well, man, how's your week been? I know you guys just kind of moved into a new place. So how's that?
Yeah, it's good, man. We moved from Arizona to California, and stoked to be here, and it's been good. We were talking about moves. You know how it goes, man. It's like never ending piles of crap you didn't know you had or needed or wanted, and just like cardboard boxes and garbage everywhere, and nothing feels like it's home for quite a while. But again, that's not a real problem. It's all good. It's fine. Trying to surf a lot, and which is all I care about. So
I was gonna say, was that one of your main motivations for moving to California, or what?
It was, man. It's always been a dream. My wife used to live here. I've always wanted to live here, and I've always just really loved this place. We've traveled here like monthly from Arizona as a family, or I still have a van, but it had a bed in it at the time.
Okay.
So I was going from Phoenix to San Diego to surf, and I would just like, my job's remote, so I would work in my van, and then I would sleep in my van and just surf for a few days. And I'd bring my kids with me. So I've got 4 kids, and I'd take 1 or 2 of them on about every other trip, like pull them out of school. The COVID thing was great, online school, because that's when I started it. And I would just be like, let's just go to the beach this week and bring your computers, and I'll go surf. You guys can do homework. It was a little selfish, but honestly, it turned out to be maybe like my most memorable dad time with my kids I've ever had in my whole life. I don't know if I'll ever have anything like that, because it was just such a unique time in life and for school and just availability to go. So yeah, man, we just spent a lot of time here. Life's funny. We talk about this all the time with advisors, that like moving and real estate and the houses we live in are they're some of the most emotional decisions we make as humans, you know, financially. And like if a client calls and says, hey, I'm thinking of maybe buying the dream home, but it's like a few years down the road, I promise you within 30 days, that conversation is going to be like, we found it and we put in an offer. So it was our like 10-year plan. And then this summer we were like, let's just do it now while the kids are with us instead of waiting till they're gone. And so we did it, man. We're here. Stoked.
That's awesome. What part of California are you guys in?
We're in South Orange County, a little town called San Clemente.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I grew up on, it was more south side of LA, but like I know that that area somewhat. We weren't down that far south. It wasn't that nice when I was growing up there, but we were kind of in a sketchy area, just trying to make it happen. My parents.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I love, every time I go out to California, it's like, man.
Feels like home. Yeah, like childhood nostalgia. Shout out to your parents for just grinding, you know, in a big city and just trying to like make it work, make it happen. Now that we're parents, you look back and you're like, those poor, I thought like everything was fine for my parents, you know, like they're just old and they know everything and they have jobs and everything's fine. And you're like, no, it's not.
I know, it's crazy because I remember it was probably, I mean, it's been a little while, but there was a point I was in my 20s or 30s. I started talking to my parents about it and they were like, yeah, we grew up off of Texaco Avenue. And I pull up Google Maps. I'm like, Mom, that's literally right off of Compton Avenue. And she's like, yeah, we were a block outside of Compton. And I'm like, this was the 80s. And she's like, I know. I'm like, wow, like whole new appreciation, Mom, for you guys raising kids there.
Just doing what they do. Yeah, that's cool though, man. Good for them.
Well, dude, take me a little bit down the road of Dentist Advisors and how it got started. I mean, you're one of the co-founders, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just kind of tell me the story. How it got started.
Yeah, I love that, man. I love just by the way, I love origin stories of small businesses, you know, which is so cool to watch dentists do this. Because I mean they do they do the grind probably more than anybody. It was just school and debt and time commitment. We got to talk about your origin story too on the podcast, and I really liked hearing that. So yeah, it's fun. So in I was probably 2017, no, 2007. What am I talking about? 2007. Reese Harper, who was like the main founder, he left a big kind of like financial firm in the industry, and he started our company, which was called a different name. It's the name of our holding company. It's called Acquire Wealth Advisors.
Okay.
But I joined him just like right after that, and all that we knew that we were going to do is we were going to be a fiduciary kind of like independent firm. That's all we knew, which in itself is kind of different for the industry because so much of the industry is like, you have financial advisors who work for banks and insurance companies or mutual fund companies, and they're kind of like beholden to their company they work for, right? Pretty normal. They sell their company products. They earn commissions on financial products they sell. The problem with products and commissions in the financial industry is it creates just weird incentives, you know, to give certain piece of advice. So we were like, we're just going to have an independent firm. And for the first probably 12 months, we had kind of just a random mix of clients. We had a few business owners, some sales executives, you know, just like random people. We managed some money, helped them with their healthcare insurance, and just did like planning sessions and tried to help them answer questions. But really early on, we had a good friend in the neighborhood that was a pediatric dentist.
Okay.
And he was the guy that really piqued our interest because he was very successful, very smart, you know, well-trained, intelligent, but he had like a million questions all the time about tons of random stuff. You know, for a dentist, I would have never have guessed that a dentist had so many real estate questions or insurance questions or loan questions. Like I would have had no idea back then. So we decided that we're like, all right, more than just being an independent firm, we want to be a niche firm that knows one industry better than any other industry so that we can just dive super deep. And then we know how to message and we know who to market to, and we know like which conferences to attend and what articles to write and all that kind of stuff. So early on, man, we just decided we're going to be all in dentists. We eventually changed our name to Dentist Advisors. It was kind of funny. We built really crappy, ugly software that was like practice management software, like practice, you know, like the incredible, amazing company Dental Intel, you know, those guys, right? It was like an awful, terrible, really ugly version of like simple Dental Intel. That was the outcome. We wanted to like measure, you know, production per hour and AR and, you know, what's hygiene up to and what's doctor producing. But that we did that for a few years and then realized that's a whole other like career track and that's not our bag and we're not going to pursue it. But it helped us like dig in really early to how the business operates in dental practice and really what they're dealing with, which just translated really well in helping us, you know, do planning. So anyway, that's where it began, man. And then we slowly added people and slowly grew. We built a system called, there's this proprietary system we built called the Elements. It looks like a periodic table of like financial elements. And it was our way to define what financial planning for a dentist should be, because the term financial planning is really vague. It actually doesn't, there's no definition. You know, anyone could say they do financial planning.
Right.
So we built this like really robust system that it's 12 main principles, like 12 financial categories that a dentist should track and analyze every year. And it has a lot of benchmarks and, you know, dozens of subcategories. And so we built that, implemented that system to do just like keep people really organized and make decisions around data and not emotions and not scattered decisions. Like if a dentist buys a building, there's more than just the building consideration to figure out in that decision, you know? Yeah. And normally someone will like buy a building and they'll go, okay, I've got my agent for the real estate and I've got like a loan broker or something. But in reality, that's going to affect their net worth. It's going to affect their spending, their cash flow, their profitability. It's going to affect the way they need to hold insurance. It's going to affect their liquidity. So dentists just have so much going on. So we just wanted to have a system that's like really organized and help people have a bigger picture view when they made decisions, so that we didn't make decisions in like little silos. And anyway, man, that's you know, today we're, I don't know, 20, 22 people, mostly in Salt Lake City, Utah, where headquarters is, but a few of us scattered around the country, and here we are.
Yeah, I love it. Well, and what I love about you guys too is it feels like you almost kind of started off in this like consulting type role, like trying to help people. Yeah. And I've known like that makes sense to me because I see a lot of your content is so educational, right? Like you guys are like educators first and consultants first, like not trying to sell a product. It's like, let me help you figure this out. And if we're a good fit, awesome.
That'll work.
Yeah. Has that always kind of been the intentional angle for this?
Totally. Yeah. And you know, I gotta like give credit to Reese Harper. He, if anyone knows Reese, he's such a visionary dude, and like his brain lives like 10 to 15 years in the future at all times. And, but that's his personality too, even from day one, even before we had systems or we really had like a niche or a strong message, the culture, and it was only 2 or 3 of us, the culture of the firm at the time, 3 people.
Right.
It was always that way. I mean, he would bring people in who maybe they had a question about their IRA or something, but Reese would be in a conference room with them for 3 hours, educating on like their P&L that they didn't even know as a business owner about, you know? And so there was always kind of like the tone of our culture, and it was always teaching first, always. And it attracted people who like to teach, you know? Our industry can be really slimy and salesy. And so it's attracted people who kind of just feel that way too. And then when the Dentist Money Show started, which again, Reese kind of like was really big into that. I remember thinking like, what's a podcast even? But when that started, that was the whole point, was how do we're only going to work with a very small fraction of dentists, even if we're wildly successful for the next, 50 years or whatever. So how do we help more dentists than just our own clients? And yeah, it's content, it's education, and it's giving away as much information as we possibly can. Like, how do we help people by teaching them?
Yeah. I love that. I mean, that was a lot of, and I think why you and I get along so well is just similar values. I mean, when we came into the dental marketing space, it was kind of the same thing, man. Just a lot of really not great companies providing not great service. And like, why does dental
pushing
marketing?
it?
Yeah. And like, why is dental marketing so bad? Like, it could be amazing. And so much of that, we took that educational play on purpose because it wasn't just like, hey, we're the only ones doing this, so we're going to protect it. It's like, dude, the whole place needs to elevate when it comes to marketing. So let's like help do that,
Yeah, well, and we, as you guys probably do too, you see that happen. People will take our content and go to their existing advisors or their, and elevate, like you said, the quality of the relationship, using someone else's like information, which is like great. I mean, it should
it's kind of great, right? You're like, we would do it better.
Yeah. Probably, maybe, but yeah, again, I mean, there are like 200,000 dentists in the country, and
I know.
even at like a 1% market share, like that's a big dental specific financial planning firm at a 1% market share, so yeah, man. Yeah.
I know. It's so
Give it away.
We deal with that all the time. We see our websites being tried to, rip off, and I'm just kind of like, all
that
right.
might be a little different, like, because you have an actual product, like you kind of have a physical product in a lot of ways that you can deliver. At least that's my perception. So they're probably a little bit more like intellectual property, a little thieving going on, maybe.
Yeah. It's fine. There's that whole saying, it's like flattery is whatever.
Yeah, it's fine.
I'm like, it's not. It's just annoying, really.
It's annoying, dude. We've found like our periodic table of elements, like our financial planning. We've found it on other advisors' websites before.
Yeah.
They're like, look at our table. We're like, come on.
Right.
It's so blatant, man. Like, really?
Yeah. Like if you're in a good mood, you're like, oh, that's great. We're
that's
really
cool.
The whole space.
Good for you.
Yeah. But then other times you're just like, bro.
Like, that sucks, man. Yeah. That's not cool.
Well, and I was only saying that because I love that periodic table, because it takes really, you're right. When you say planning, it's like, it's abstract. It's,
what does that mean?
It's like, well, what does that mean? But you guys actually have this like plan, and it's complex too, right? Like you can't just say financial planning looks like this. Here's the lane. I love that it's all these pieces that you've got to really think through.
Yeah. It's so much, man. Like, recently we started implementing this thing where when a client schedules like a review meeting, we have this checklist, this agenda checklist that goes out. Like, we know as advisors what we need to cover with people because the data is telling us certain stories, right? Like, oh, we need to address savings rate or insurance or, whatever. But with this, a checklist goes out, and I'm just so surprised how many things there are to discuss with a dentist. And this is what makes being a dentist, especially one who runs a practice, so difficult sometimes, is because there's like almost 10 years of schooling that's mostly clinical training, right? And then you go into business, and then all of a sudden there's like 100 things to deal with that are not clinical, and they matter a lot. They matter a ton, and they affect the money you make and your profit, just everything. And so it's like, there's so many pieces in a dentist's life. So when the survey goes out and I get this checklist back, like, what do you want to talk about at our meeting? And I see like these 20 items. I'm like, geez, man, there is so much to cover all the time, and they can't always get to it, And some of the most important things that are the most crucial are sometimes the least understood. Like, I'm surprised how often a dentist isn't able or doesn't really know how to dive through their P&L. And no, we're not accountants. We don't file taxes. We're not CPAs. We work hand in hand with our client CPAs really well, but we get into their tax returns and their P&Ls all the time, just to walk through, like, here's where you're spending money, and here's the cash you actually received or didn't receive, and here's your overhead and profitability. And it's like so crucial, but there's just like not time to get to everything. They have to deal with a lot of stuff, man. So it is complex. It's a lot of stuff.
It is, for sure. What's your kind of week to week role in the company now?
Yeah, nowadays, it's so funny when I think back, like almost 15 years. You know what this is like. You do like 20 jobs for a long time.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I used to be our website guy too.
Nice.
I did. I had like a huge interest in building websites. Like, I learned to code. I mean, I couldn't say that in front of like an actual coder, but I learned to code enough, like build websites, and did like so many jobs, man, like management stuff and finance, like everything, everything. These days, thankfully, we've lasted long enough, and it's a real company now. I have like 2 jobs now. I do content for our company. So all, the podcasts, interview on the podcasts, webinars that we host, that kind of stuff. I'll be a guest on other people's shows, which I love doing.
Yeah.
And then I have my client work. So I, every day I have a handful of meetings with clients, and then content to produce. And then, there's some team stuff we work on. We have other people who are in charge of like running systems, running marketing. We have like a COO who's in charge of like all the big stuff. I'm a terrible manager. I'm not a good manager. I don't like it at all. I like just hanging out with people, but I don't like being in charge of what they do. I'm so bad at that. I just don't like that. So I'm so glad, man, that we got to a point where there's people who are talented and like that kind of stuff. that's off my plate these days. So yeah, it's just client work and content, man, which is like, I couldn't have dreamed for a better career. Like I'm so happy about it and feel so lucky that it's like got to this point, because I just love it, man. Stuff like this is just feeds me. It's awesome.
That's great. Yeah. I remember, early days. I mean, when we first started, I was doing the video editing.
Yeah. Everything.
Yeah. Producing my own show and editing it
Yeah.
in Final Cut Pro. And I can get around in like Adobe Photoshop and design.
Yeah.
So early on, I was like, first couple clients, I'm like mocking up concepts and stuff. And now I need to get like, content's going to be one of my big things. I honestly have failed on it this year just because I've been so busy.
It's hard, man.
But I think we just solved that piece that's going to kind of give me like 40% of my life back.
You got some people or something? Someone came in, you got someone in the company to do some other jobs, take it off your plate?
We recruited a sales director because I was all sales calls.
Yep.
And I think that's going to, because I want to get to that place where I'm just doing leadership and content. Those are kind of my sweet areas.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah. You know what it's like. I mean, those early days, like, answering phones, doing the sales, doing the onboarding, doing the back end, like in our, when we open accounts and we do account transfers. I mean, I'm doing paperwork. I'm sitting in meetings. I'm trying to build a website because we can't afford to hire anyone to do a website. Like, it's crazy, man, and you get thrown into stuff inadvertently. Dentists go through the same stuff. I mean, there's dentists who are answering their own phones, doing their own hygiene.
Yeah.
You get thrown into jobs you don't want to do, and then jobs that like you're not good at, which is, it sucks doing jobs you're not good at. Like humans, we like doing things that we're good at because it feels good, you know? Yeah. So it's cool though, when you hear about that grind and the small business, and it just like, it makes it, like you get through it. It's cool, man.
Yeah, for sure. What going from a couple of you guys to now 22 team members, you guys have probably had to face some pretty big hurdles in there, and probably some like pretty big, just like new S-curve type stuff. Yeah. What have been some of those moments as you look back that were kind of challenges?
Oh, dude, I can think about them so well. So speaking of my moving around, historically, growth in our industry happens when you go set up a physical office in a city, right? And you just live there and you get to know the local city and the network. And like, that's how traditionally our industry grows. And it's similar for an attorney or a CPA, and so that was like early growth plan. And it was hard because there was like 4 people around. So who's going to move and what happens when you move, because what happens at home office, so I moved around a little bit for that. And then we started the podcast. And again, the podcast was just meant to be an educational tool. If it was marketing, cool, but we just wanted to teach. And to our absolute surprise, the podcast took us from being a pretty local regional company where we had an office to a national company. It was shocking, frankly, that someone across the country would call from listening to a podcast, be like, "Hey, I want you to manage my millions of dollars." And we might never see each other in person. It was kind of like unprecedented in our industry, except for huge firms that had like radio shows, but they also had offices in multiple cities, right? And they traveled around and did big shows. And so that was a weird time, man, going from changing growth plans. Like that was an interesting time. I moved around a couple times for that. Like I moved out of state to open an office. Then I moved back to our headquarters because the podcast launched and we didn't need offices. So that was an interesting time, and then, I mean, you've probably experienced this too. Anytime you go into growth mode and you need more people, it's hands down the hardest thing of a business, adding team, and then not only getting people up to speed in their actual job and roles, but just meshing with everybody, the culture and the vibe of everybody. It's so hard, man. It's so tough. So yeah, just those growth phases and adding teams it's just been an interesting, there's been good and bad and ugly in all of it, but yeah, I think one of the most pivotal, but biggest changes was just that podcast launch. And then how it just took us from being a regional company to national. And it was cool and weird and hard at the same time,
Yeah. I love that. I mean, you guys, you're 300 episodes in, but gosh, you've been on a ton as well. Like if I just Google you guys, I mean, it's like the dental market, Dental A Team, Productive Dentist, Beyond the Pro Feed, Dental Nachos, Life in Dentistry, Shared Practice, the Dentalpreneur.
Love all those guys. That's so cool.
Just like the list of who's who, like,
yeah, it's cool.
Who you've been on. So I love that. And I feel like we've experienced some of the same stuff. As you just produce consistent educational social content, you connect with people.
Well, and and I mean, that's your whole story, which I totally believe in and love. And you said this earlier when your wife was like, just do a show every day, just do an episode every day. In the beginning of doing content, and I think dentists probably face this when you guys are trying to help them produce content and tell their story, you get so hung up on doing it perfectly, like, oh, this has to like sound and look and be absolutely rigid, perfect. Like in our early days of the podcast, we had teleprompters on iPads. No, we didn't even have those yet because we couldn't afford them. We had on our computers scripts in Google Docs.
Yeah.
Like even a joke was scripted. We had a clock and a guy in the room who's now our COO who would be like, all right, moving along. Come on, like next line. And we go like line by line.
Yeah.
And then I think you realize that there's a level of quality you have to hit in storytelling and content. But after that, it's like, you got to put it out there.
Yeah.
Like you got to just go to the next one, man. Like you got to go that the personality I think that's hard for though, are people who are kind of artists at heart, which might be you, because the artists I've known, I'm not an artist, but like any visual media, music artist, there's just a perfectionistic trait that nothing is ever good enough. And it's so hard to let go of something and just put it out there and be like, all right, public, you have it now. Reese is that way. Reese is a lot of people don't know this. He's like a musical genius guy.
Okay.
He's like a composer and he's like so good at all these instruments. That was his like background before financial planning.
Yeah. Wow.
And but it was really hard for him to like release a video or content or an article because as an artist, you're kind of always like, it could be better, but that's the thing about content. You got to just do it, put it out there and get on to the next one,
No, you're right. Are you familiar with the Enneagram personality test?
Yes, I've taken it a few times, but I couldn't remember which ones I am.
Oh man. Okay.
Dang it.
No, it's okay. But that one is that perfectionist. And
okay, that's not me.
Yeah, they 100% have trouble with that. I have trouble with it too. I'm a 3 on an Enneagram, which is like the achiever. Like I want to go like, get stuff done. But I can separate myself, but man, I mean, I can watch videos of myself and I just have to turn that off because
really,
like, this is not good. You could have said that better. You fumbled right there. Like, and I'm like, team, is this good? They're like, it's good.
You're like, it's good, man. Like, just do it. Just put it out there because no one cares. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you do. I mean, it's in your brain. When I was younger, I mean, it's so funny. Like, I've built my career in a business with a personality, Reese. I had a best friend all through high school, and after high school, we were in a punk rock band together.
Yeah, okay.
And believe it or not, I used to have like cool hair.
Yeah,
it was awesome. At least I thought it was. But it was funny because it reminds me so much of my best friend during that time. He was in our band, and he was an artist, and he was a total perfectionist. We'd write music, and I'd be like, "Cool, let's schedule a show," and he'd be like, "We're not ready. Yeah. People can't hear this. It's terrible." I'm like, "This is cool. Like, let's play a show,"
Yeah.
And it's funny. It's a personality thing, man. It's hard to. Do you face that a lot when you help practices produce content and tell their story? Like, do you meet some personalities that really don't want to like release it? Like they're not ready for it?
100%. Yeah. We kind of have these client avatars that we talk about.
Oh yeah.
And then how to like help those avatars like get through the process. Because there are some that are so hands off. They're just like, boom, let me dump. You guys do it. We produce it. They're like, this is awesome. And that's it.
They're like, good, let's go.
And then there's some, it's like, well, what about this detail? And I didn't know about that. Yeah. This detail. And I want it.
It's tough.
Yeah. So I'm sure you guys get the same thing,
Yeah.
It's just those managing those avatars.
It is. It does. It takes a while. And then I think after you've done it long enough, you kind of just know what's going to be good enough and what needs it just needs to go out, you know? Yeah. And you just got to move on. And if you didn't like it, you got to do better next time, and it's fine. Just move on.
For sure. We try to get to like hey, if the website's 80%, like let's take it live.
It needs to be out. Yeah. It's better than not being out there
as we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Gosh, I love, I mean, I think so much of content is even just trusting yourself that what comes out and what you're putting out is good enough. I think that's a huge step for people too. It's just like, I put this out, therefore it's good, because I know what I put into me. I know what I've invested.
Yeah, but see, isn't that what's hard in the beginning of a career though? There's kind of some imposter syndrome that you feel when you're early in a career. I know dentists feel it too. When you're young in your career, you're like, well, I mean, I know what I'm saying is true because other people who are way smarter than me also believe this, or teach it. But it's tough when you're not quite sure, like you haven't experienced it enough, like you haven't gone through it enough. Like I remember early in my career, I wasn't investing money because I had no money, I was building a brand new company and we were like barely making it for years. So I'd give advice to people that I knew was true advice. It was right because much smarter people than me and lots of evidence and history had shown that it was correct. But it was hard for me to give it and be like, yeah, I'm not following this because I don't even have any money to invest or to do things with, So it is hard when you're producing content and you're trying to give advice or be kind of in a consultant role when you're early in a career. And I'm sure dentists feel the same thing too. Like they know clinically what they're doing is correct, but they've been a year on the job. So that confidence isn't totally there like it is when you're an old bald man and you're like, I've seen this 1,000 times, So I'm like, I'm sure it works. So I've just seen a lot of people go through it and I'm fine now. But it's hard to put out content when you yourself are just like new at what you're doing. It's tough, man. It's vulnerable too. I mean, it's a really like vulnerable position to be in, to, like you say, tell your story and be authentic. And if a dentist is going to build a website and some content to tell their story, it doesn't have to be like their neighbor or their friend on Instagram. It has to be them.
Right.
But it's sometimes hard to just be you and, be okay with that.
Yeah, that's such a great way to say that, because I think it's so many of us find identity in what we do, and we haven't stopped to find, like, if the part of what you do, like if you had to just change careers next week, like who are you as a person? Like,
exactly.
Like what do you bring to that next career?
Yep.
Because you can be successful in another career based on like who you are, right? But so much of the time it's how we perform, it's clinical, it's that. And I've done that. That's the only reason why I can speak to that. I've like switched careers, realized my identity was wrapped up around one, and I was like, but that's not who I am.
No, you have some core traits that are you that you can bring to another thing. And it's hard too, because we all have like, pinnacles or examples we look to of successful people in our industries that we we're like, oh, I have to look like that or talk like that or run a business like that, or I have to message the same way because that's clearly the standard,
Yeah.
And you can take things from people, like learn things. What I mean, not take, don't steal, folks. Don't steal. But you can learn things from people. But you gotta be yourself, which can be a scary thing to like explore publicly, Whether you're writing or doing video or like a podcast, like you're kind of exploring it in front of everybody, You're like, well, here I am. This is really vulnerable, and I'm sorry if it sucks, but I'm trying. So
yeah, the whole like kind of documentation, I think, word has been good for me, just to reframe it. Like I'm not trying to produce like perfect content. I'm just trying to document.
Just document some thoughts.
Yeah,
that's cool, man.
Tell me about working with Reese and having a partner, because so many partner relationships, and you guys see this probably every week, every month. So many don't go good.
Oh yeah.
But I'm in a partnership and it's working well. So tell me kind of about that and how you guys have landed on working together so long.
Yeah, you've seen this with dentists too. We get this question all the time, like, as a partner in dentistry, should I do that? I've heard horror stories, like, yeah, it's both out there. Like, it's been great and it's been bad in a lot of people's cases, and you can never predict it. It doesn't matter if it's a family member or a best friend. Like, it's tough. Like that first decade, I probably spent more time with Reese than I did my own wife. Some years. I mean, you're just like trying to not go out of business for a long time when you're brand new, and develop things and build things. So yeah, man, I don't know if I really have any advice on like how it worked out. Reese and I are still like really close friends. We work really differently now. So we didn't really talk about this, but that financial planning system, the elements, it's such an innovative tool that doesn't exist in our industry. Reese, of course, saw a space in the financial industry where this tool could be of help to a lot of financial advisors around the country, more than just our own company.
Yeah.
So 3 or 4 years ago, he started building. It's out there now. It's called the Elements. There you go. It's pretty selfie. It's called the Elements app, but it's an app that is financial planning software for other financial advisors to implement in their own businesses, their own niches and everything. And they're like totally crushing it, man. So like, it's been an interesting ride. Him and I worked so closely together. Like we carpooled together. When me and my wife used to have one car, we had like 3 kids in one car. So me and Reese lived in the same neighborhood. We'd carpool into the office. We were there so late every night. And we met with clients together. We brainstormed all day long. And then, the team gets bigger, you bring in more people and you kind of diverge a little bit into like your own roles, right? Like Reese is total visionaries, total leadership. And I'm in the weeds. I do the work with the clients. I love the content. So we'd start to diverge a little bit. And now he works that Elements company is like 30 people or something. They've raised money and they're crushing. It's so cool. So he works on that full time. He's still like owner and major shareholder of Dennis Advisors too. But we have our own kind of like different team now. So these days we don't even do like too much business together. It's just friend stuff. We text and talk, but yeah, man, it's like it felt like another marriage, honestly, because there were days that I loved Reese Harper and I bet he loved me. And there's days I hated Reese Harper and I bet he hated me,
Right.
But like you spend so many hours with people and like, what are you going to do? I mean, that's how it goes. But, and it's hard because when dentists ask that, should I have a partner? I heard it goes bad or I heard it goes well. It's not predictable, There are times it could have blown up so bad. And then there are times it just went so good. And I don't know what the factor is. Like, I don't know how it goes good or when it goes bad. I think you have to have a long, patient, outlook. You got to take breaks from each other. Sometimes you have to like take a step back. And it really helps when the company or the practice can get a little more successful and you can delineate roles more clearly, not overlap and step on each other so much. It can be tough, man, but it's been like one of the best things in my entire life, So like meeting Reese Harper changed the outcome of my entire life and my family's and so, I'll always be like thankful for it.
I love that. There's a marriage counselor named John Gottman. He's kind of like the premier go-to marriage psychologist or whatever out there. But he said he did this whole like experiment where he was interviewing married couples and he was trying to predict divorce. And so he would videotape them and these interactions and like thousands of hours of footage. But he realized that the moment they could identify contempt in a relationship it almost always predicted divorce. So as they're communicating, so like you get the eye roll or like dismissive of a question and it's like there's contempt coming in. So basically at the end of this, he said for me the thing that came out of it was the key to marriage is believing the best possible explanation for your partner's behavior.
Benefit of the doubt.
And I've realized that with partnerships too. It's like, it's just that whole believe the best. Like
it's gotta be,
like you just have to go, I may not understand that, or I'm probably interpreting this differently, which is why it's probably maybe creating a little irritation or frustration. But I believe the best possible solution.
I love that.
And that and just giving each other that freedom to kind of find their roles has been huge.
I like that. You got to believe the best in someone's intentions or motivations. And here's what I think, watching so many partnerships and then being in one, usually the most successful companies and partnerships are between people who are very opposite from each other, because you need those contrasting personalities to actually build. If you have 2 of the same people, you'll just get, you get such a dynamic outcome when you have very different people. But those contrasts can be tough to navigate, like Reese and I have a lot of things in common. We have some very different like personality traits and like drives and motivations. And that's what helped us build what we have. But yeah, it can be tough. So I love that. That's really good advice, because when you're working with someone who's different than you and bringing different things to the table than you can bring, see things you can't see, it's also easy to fall into a trap of contempt. Be like, yeah, why are you saying that? Or like, what are you trying to get at? Are you, and like you can suspicious of each other, and that contempt, man, that's such a good way to put that. And believing that like that person probably has the same goal as I do, long-term, big picture. And their motivations probably are the best. That's a really good way to put it.
I think you hit it there, where it's like the best partnerships are oftentimes very different. But opposite. The tendency is you don't understand that world, so you tend to like make judgments or and same thing vice versa, and you can't. You just got to be like, I believe that you are navigating this as best as you possibly can. And I may not understand it, and we can have a conversation to kind of align on that, but
it's really good.
I'm not going to allow it to get into my.
Yeah. It's funny to say, I mean, like me and my wife are very different. Like we are kind of polar opposite human beings. We have common shared goals and values that we're both driving to, but the way we get there is very different, along the way. And you have to just trust and believe, which is hard because there are plenty of stories of shady partnerships, right? That person doesn't have good motivations. They don't have the best intentions, and they are acting like a rotten human being.
Right.
There is nothing good about their intentions. And that does happen. And it's hard to like trust that and then be like, am I going to get burned here?
Yeah.
Especially in business, man, because at the end of the day, when money comes into the picture, business can be business and relationships can fall because of it. It's tough.
Yeah. My advice probably doesn't work well for like embezzlement, because if you're just like, oh, I just believe the best,
I think he's doing a good job. It's like, no, he's stealing from you. Right. So it's not good.
I think there's got to be, these are relationships where it's like, it's a marriage, right? Like you're committed to a partnership where it's
I think it's good advice.
There's been vetting out to get to that point where you're like, I know this person, they're super like we're committed in this together.
Yeah. And you can't control someone else. Someone can change. I mean, the crazy thing about, you bring up embezzlement, it's such a common thing in dental, as you know. And most of the time it starts out from people who don't have the intentions to steal, so you can't control it. You can't control someone else forever or at all, really. But I still think that's good advice, man. I think it's at least an optimistic way. I'd rather go through life expecting the best of people around me and just expecting that the world's generally good, and then be surprised and disappointed when someone wasn't, like intentionally being a crappy human. But I don't know. That seems better than being like cynical about everything constantly, which you can, I mean, I've felt that way about the world around me at times too. So, I mean, we all go through that, but it's tough.
For sure.
This got deep, man. We got like therapeutic here. I like this.
I know.
I didn't expect this. I like this.
One of the values on our team is empathy, but we define that as we believe the best, think the best, and speak the best about each other and about our clients, because it like, that's what empathy is like, put yourself in that situation,
just try to imagine it,
and believe the best possible solution for their outcome for it. And it helps you, like, when your client's freaking out, like we've got a startup and they're like losing their mind and they sent this massive email and you're like, well, but here's the deal. They didn't sleep last night because they have student loan debt of 300,000. They just signed on a practice for 550,000. They just did bought technology at 200 grand. Like they're $1 million in debt, and they just woke up last night freaking out about it.
That email came through at 3:17 a.m. Like, put yourself in their shoes. That's a lot. It's heavy. I like that. That's cool, man.
I know you're a fitness guy. That's a huge value of yours. How's that been with moving?
I alluded to this earlier, man, that I do my working out's kind of therapy for me. Now living by the ocean, like surfing is really like come into that a lot, but yeah, working out's been part of my life for a long time. I did CrossFit for like 8 years straight, like all in, like culty. I was like cult CrossFit about it, like all in, man. I loved it. And then transitioned out of that, but it was tough with the move because we were in a temporary rental in an apartment while we waited to get the house, and there was really nowhere to work out. And I've been a CrossFit person will know what I'm talking about. Okay. I've been outside of a normal gym, like a huge gym with lots of people and mirrors and like climate control and music playing and TVs. I've been outside of that for so long. I'm not comfortable going there.
Yeah.
It feels weird. I just feel, my wife loves it. So I couldn't do that. There was like an apartment gym complex that it was tiny, had a few dumbbells, and it was always people in it, and it was just too close. Right. So no, I did nothing for 3 months, which is the longest stretch in now like 9 years of not working out. And I mean, I surfed a lot, but no weights. And I put the garage gym together this week. Actually, I've done 2 workouts this week and I can't move. I hurt so bad. And I did like light versions. I follow some online programming that I pay for that shows me what to do every day. And I did light versions of this stuff. I scaled it back and I can't move. So I'm excited to like get back to where it actually felt good, but I feel terrible this week. Like I can't walk upstairs. I can't unbend my arms right now. And, yeah. So yeah, I miss it, man. I miss it. You're in CrossFit, right? You're doing it.
Yeah. I'm usually 3 or 4 times a week. This week I was traveling. I was out in Vail, so I actually dropped in on
dropped in. Oh, I saw that on Instagram. You dropped into a box there.
Vail CrossFit. So I'll tell you, CrossFit at elevation is
the worst. I've done it in Denver once, and I couldn't.
And
I tasted blood. Like I could taste blood.
And I always kind of forget that too. In the workout, it was 500-meter row, like some toes to bar and overhead squat. Tell me which of those 3 was the hardest at elevation.
At elevation, well, I struggle with toes to bar after like 30 of them. Like they just get to me. But I don't know, maybe the overhead squats though, because that overhead position, you're like compressed in your lungs. Like you can't take a deep breath, right? What was it for you?
It was the row, man.
Really?
Yeah. For whatever reason, I'm pulling at like, usually I'm going to pull at like 1200 to 1400, whatever that is, like meters per minute. Yeah. So I'm pulling at like 950 and I'm like,
you're like, why am I dying?
Can't I breathe? Like I can't even maintain this pace.
Yeah.
And then, a lot of toes to bars, which I hung with pretty good, but an overhead squat those are just hard to begin.
Well, it's funny you say that, because the one time I dropped into a CrossFit gym in Colorado, it was a couple years ago, and it was backcountry CrossFit, big gym. They have like CrossFit Games teams and athletes, awesome gym, but it was a rowing and overhead squat workout, but it was like a sprint. I remember holding that overhead squat position, feeling like I can't take a breath right now.
Yeah.
So when you said that, it just took me back, man. It was cold. Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, dude, I miss that. But I still have a lot of friends from CrossFit. I still text my old CrossFit friends to ask them about their workouts, because I just still like, it's ingrained when you're in CrossFit. Like you just got to talk about it. Like clearly, like here we are. Like you have to talk about it to everybody. Yeah, and I love it. I miss that, man.
What I know we're going to wrap up here on time, but what are you most excited about next year? What are you looking forward to in 2020?
Honestly, probably like a lot of people, I want to get back to seeing people, a little bit more travel, a few events. I want to go to some concerts. Concerts are coming back, and we're getting back to like team events. So like I said, most of our team is in Utah in our headquarters, but we have people in other states, like myself, and we just hired a new advisor. She's in South Carolina. So I'm just looking forward to seeing people and kind of getting the team together again, and just kind of building some culture. I'm really excited for that. And I don't know, man, COVID taught a lot of us some new stuff in business. The way we operate is a little bit different than it used to be. Some of our messaging and like how we're implementing our marketing, some of the events we go to, new things that we're doing, because of what we learned during that time. I'm just excited to kind of get implemented and start, man. But yeah, and actually probably more than anything, just more surfing. That's what I'm surfing, like living here, not having to drive 6 hours each way to see it. But what about you, man? What's 2022? What's on the horizon for you guys that you're excited about?
I'm looking forward to it, just because I said earlier, we made a strategic hire that I think is going to really impact me personally next year. So I'm looking forward to getting back to content. There's a creative part of my brain that hasn't been used as much as it could. So I'm looking forward to that. We've been at a good amount of conferences this year, so that's always that's fun.
It feels good, man.
Yeah, we just did a concert too. I don't know if you know the band 21 Pilots, but
I saw you post about that. I think that was you, or maybe it was someone else who said that it was like one of the best live shows they've ever seen.
Yeah,
and it looked they're just so creative.
Yeah, Tyler Joseph, the lead singer, and Josh Dunn, they're actually from Columbus. I mean, I was at their very first concert, so I've seen these guys kind of grow up, but he's always been ultra creative. But to see him like with big budget arena and lights, all the things, it was like
just a true performer, right? And like any fan of music and live shows, the difference between a band that you like their music and then a band who has like a true showman or showwoman, whatever you want to say. Yeah. Just a performer, someone who knows they have the charisma to just show up and own tens of thousands of people for like 3 hours straight. And you don't even realize what's going on. You're like, I'll do whatever you say. Like just like a leader, man. It's a really cool personality type that exists in some bands. And that's cool that it was that good, man.
Well, and the fact that like they can pull that off with two people
still, right? They don't do, that's it.
Yeah. They did bring in a live band for part of the concert, which is the first time they've done that. And it was cool. But yeah, watching them, I mean, gosh, I remember like just arenas and it's the two of them and they've got you the entire time, which
that's what I'm saying, man. Like that's just it's a skill. It's cool.
But it was interesting you say that because my son, when I was talking to him and he, this last album they put out, he was kind of like, it's okay. But what you realize is you get it live in the arena. And that it takes on a whole, you like Tyler wrote that as performance pieces.
Oh, so yeah.
You may like listen to the album and be like, that's solid. But when you go experience it live, you're like, oh, I see why he did that, because there's this crowd interaction piece right there. And
cool.
It allows for that to happen.
And he knew that writing this album. And he's probably like, no, guys, you got to come see it.
Yeah.
You got to come hear it live.
They are a performance band. So
I'll have to check them out, man. I've always liked their music on, and here on the radio. I don't purposely go listen to them, but I love a good live show. There's nothing like it.
I know.
There's nothing like it, man. It's so captivating.
Well, man, it's Friday. Tonight, man, what are you doing to unwind typically on Friday? What are you eating? What are you drinking? What's your Friday night look like?
Dude, I'm kind of stoked tonight. I'm going to surf this afternoon with some friends that are in town. And then my daughter has a friend in town visiting and staying with us. And we're going to take my wife, a couple of my other kids are going to take her and her friend to an amusement park called Knott's Berry Farm.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Knott's Berry. Yeah. In Buena Park. Yeah. God, I forgot. Knott's Berry. Knott's Berry is the hidden gem of Southern California theme parks.
Yeah.
It's clean and it's big and it's not super packed, and the rides are really fun and they keep up on it. It's nice, man. So we're gonna hit up Knott's Berry. So I'm gonna do some surfing and then a theme park tonight. And what am I gonna eat tonight? I can't get enough tacos. I can guarantee I'll eat tacos today at some point.
Yeah.
That's all I know. That's all I know.
What
about you? What do you got going on? What are you gonna do?
Joanne,
Columbus, right? It's gonna be cold.
It is. It's like
chilly.
48 degrees out, so it's kind of in that middle. But Joanna's at a conference, so I got the kids this weekend. Caden's in full blown volleyball practice.
Oh, busy.
But Lee and I will probably catch a movie tonight. Honestly,
cool. Like go out or like just at home.
I don't know. I'll probably actually ask her. We'll either do a pizza and a movie here and just like cuddle up on the couch, or we'll, without Caden, we'll go out and see a movie she wants to see.
Have you seen Dune yet?
No.
It's like, are you guys Star Wars kind of fans?
Yeah, I've heard it's awesome.
Total Star Wars vibes, but it's not a ripoff. I mean, maybe some people would say that, but it's really well done.
Okay.
I watched it twice, loved it. So pizza and Dune would be
nice.
It'd be you'd enjoy that.
Okay.
Hit it up, man. You'd like it.
Good stuff. Well, bro, thanks so much for being on here. If people learn more about you and Dennis Advisors, where's the best place they can go to connect with you? Yeah, DennisAdvisors.com is probably the best place. What's cool about content, and this is like so cool that you guys help Dennis do this. Sometimes people don't want to engage in like a really one-on-one personal situation. It's like, frankly, in our industry, it's intimidating to just get on the phone with a financial advisor, because most of the time you're going to get like an awkward, high pressure sales pitch, in a lot of our industry. So what's cool about content is people can go and engage with you. They can hear your personality, the way you think, the way you do business, and they can make a decision without, at an arm's length. It's comfortable for them, and they can go like yes or no. And so DennisAdvisors.com, it's our website. We probably have literally like 1,000 hours of free content on there, videos and podcasts and webinars. We do 2 webinars every month with a partner and then one of our own. You can learn whatever you want. It's all free. And then, like you said this in the beginning, if you teach people and you're just genuine and you're yourself and you're not trying to be something else, and they dig it and they relate to it and resonate with what you're teaching, they'll hire you. Yeah. And so, DennisAdvisors.com, consume content. Most people we talk to will call us after months of listening to our show. Yeah. Which I love. It's just cool, because then you're like, we can kind of cut the crap, what we think, we know what we sound like, our personalities. You're calling still, despite listening to it for 6 months. And now we can just get down to it and figure out, how do we help each other? Like, how do we actually help improve our lives? And posturing's gone and there's no walls. And so anyway, go to DennisAdvisors.com, consume some content, give us a call. Awesome. Well, man, I appreciate you taking some time to hang out. It's always, I don't know if you and I have actually ever met in person. We probably had a conference way back, but we just got to know each other virtually, which has been fun.
It has. I've talked to you way more. I met you guys at DSI probably a few years ago now, briefly, because you had a whole video set up and you're interviewing people, and I just thought it was the coolest thing. I'm like, someone's doing like live TV shots here, and this is awesome. So, but yeah, we'll have to hang at the next conference that we're actually at.
For sure. All right,
man.
I appreciate you
for having me.
Thanks so much for being here, guys. If you're interested in Dennis Advisors or talking to Ryan about surfing or whatever, hit him up.
Let's do it. Thanks, Josh. I really appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.